Well, hello everybody. This is Phoebe with Shrub Step Blooms, and as you can see, we're done for the season. We've been getting frosts, but this is the heaviest frosty frost looking one we've had because it rained yesterday, so we've had quite a bit of moisture for, to freeze, I guess. And everything's coated and beautiful. I thought if I waited until 9 o'clock, it would be starting to defrost out here, but I didn't take into account how the sun trajectory changes, and normally it would be like up here. Normally in the summer. It's not the summer anymore. We're edging towards winter, it feels like, but there's just, up until about last week I was picking flowers, and I decided last weekend would be the last week because we had been getting frosts and there wasn't much left. But now it's really time to switch gears. Y'all probably know that some flower species withstand cold a lot better than others. Nicotiana has been one of those for me. Some have been really knocked back, but this lime green version stuck it out until today. I think it's going to be really done. The cosmos surprisingly survived the first few lighter frosts. The zinnias were done almost immediately. The gomphrena I could have picked and dried a lot of it, but I chose to just leave it out here. The rudbeckia looked fine through the first few freezes, and most of the salvia did too, which is that patch down there. But I think today is the ender of it all. There will be some things that survive and make it through, like maybe the snapdragons and a few other really cold tolerant flowers like stock and whatnot, but this is where we're at. Speaking of snapdragons, I got probably close to 3 picks off this one patch. I tried my best to keep them deadheaded, and the second and third picks obviously weren't as robust and magnificent as the first wave was, but I've been really happy. It's probably 40 feet of snapdragons, and they've been doing really well, and I want to plant even more next year because they're just so phenomenal. If you hear kids yelling in the background, we live fairly near a school, and that's what's happening. This year I kind of decided I didn't really want to invest in stock all that much more, like time and effort wise, because it just did really poorly. We have a really short window in the spring where they would do well, and now I'm reassessing because this is a quartet type that I planted in like April or May, and now it's blooming. It started blooming in October, so I'm thinking maybe I switched to trying to do a fall crop of stock, maybe just a little bit in the spring to see if I can figure out the timing. But this is just absolutely lovely. Look at that. Again, if you hear kids yelling in the background, there's a school nearby and they must be at recess or something. But look at that, that's just wonderful. With the freeze, it means, this freeze at least, it means that I really actually need to get onto the dahlias. So I've been really busy with work actually, so I haven't had a ton of energy to spend out here. But I need to start getting these out of the ground before the ground starts to freeze. I don't think that's going to happen within the next couple weeks, but I just, peace of mind wise, really need to get going on these. Part of hoping that the sun would be out already would be that it would be warmer when I crawled through here and cut all the dahlia stalks down. But I see if I can get them cut down today and then maybe dig them later this weekend. But we'll see how that goes. It's interesting, there was a really inconsistent death on the dahlias. This is pretty frozen solid. Can you hear that? Crunchy, crunchy. So they'll be really toast today once they defrost, but the first few frosts didn't really consistently kill them. And I know I created some little microclimate here with the corn and some other things, maybe protecting them a little bit. But this one's a cool one. I wish it had a more closed center. I'm on the fence about whether I want to save it. I probably will. I'm a softie. But that's from the cactus mix, I think. But then look at this one. This is my favorite that I started from seed this year. Frozen in time. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, really got to get the dahlias out of the ground now, so we'll see how far I get on that today. And then my other big task for the day, and it actually is in the sun over there, just past those T-posts, is where I planted our sweet potatoes. So we don't live in a climate that lends itself to growing great crops of sweet potatoes. But this is the third or fourth year I've tried. The first year we did the best, by sheer luck, no doubt. Last year I let too many things shade them. This year I think it was probably still too shaded, even though I was better about weeding stuff out. So down in here somewhere, yep, there's one. I was digging around in here a couple days ago to see if we had anything promising. So there's at least a little bit. There's Beauregard, and then there's a white variety whose name I can't remember. And I just bought potatoes at the store when I found them and started slips, and then here we are. So this is my number one thing that I need to get done today, and then the dahlias. And then the other thing I've been working on, which isn't super fun to watch. Oh, look at that asparagus. Asparagus turns such a cool color. This is wild. This just volunteered here. Oh, I hear Ava digging. Hang on. Totally innocent. Totally innocent dog. Anyway, she's been digging holes, and I'm not a fan of it. But the other thing I've been working on is planting daffodils. I ordered like 2,000 daffodils and then several hundred other bulbs. So it's not super fun to watch. It's just digging trenches and then throwing the bulbs in and covering them back over. So that's been fun. I also got sick like yesterday, so I'm trying to take it slower than usual, but this just everything needs to happen, right? So we'll just slow and steady and see where we get this weekend. Something else interesting I noticed was that this type of marigold wasn't as affected by the first earlier like drier frosts that we had or freezes that we had. I think this really wet freeze will take it, but I was able to pick a good handful of it last weekend to sell in my last round of flowers. Now they're absolutely coated in ice. That one's pretty solid. Oh yeah, you can like break the petals off because they're so wet and frozen. But I thought that was interesting, so I'm going to collect seed off this. It wasn't one that I planted on purpose this year because I wasn't like, I don't know, super enamored of it last year, but it just volunteered. So we'll see if that's a persistent trait or if it's just like a one-off this year because of the way that we got a bunch of light freezes and it just sort of soldiered through. But we'll see what happens. And I really like them. They come in this whole range of like goldy yellow orange to red orange. So it's a wonderful fall collection of colors in this type of marigold. And I don't remember, I want to call it Starfire or something like that, or Signet maybe, as the type, but you should just Google it and see what you can find. But there's lovely seeds to be saved. This caught my eye while I was walking back to the truck to grab my tools. This is our native sumac. It has really beautiful fall colors. I probably am going to regret planting it here because they do spread underground. So if I continue to water it, it will get pretty big and thickety, but that might be great for being a wind block. So we'll see. But there's all these things that are marketed as fall color and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, why not just use the one that grows natively? And if you give it a little bit of water, it'll be huge and majestic. And it does spread, but there are other sumacs that have been bred and are sold and they spread too. And so I don't know. Why not just use this one? I'm touching it and all the leaves are coming off now, but it's just so beautiful. Why not use that instead? And plus our native oaks and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's my soapbox for the moment. But they're just so lovely. So I planted 4 potatoes worth of slips, and this is what I got. The Beauregard definitely did better. There was a lot more of them that were nice size. This white variety seems to have grown deeper into the soil, so I had a hard time getting it out intact, and it either didn't perform as well or I wasn't digging deep as I should have been to be getting them out. But this is plenty for us to be getting on with to eat this fall and winter. And sweet potatoes hold really, really well without a lot of fuss, in my experience. The other thing I learned is that you need to let them cure for a couple weeks, otherwise they taste pretty bland. So the first year we got a nice haul of them, I immediately wanted to eat them, and we did, and they tasted like nothing. So that's my pro tip, is to let them cure for a couple weeks, and then they'll start to develop that nice sweet potato flavor. These are a orange fleshed variety. If I find one that's snapped off or scraped, you can kind of start to see that. This is a white fleshed variety. I think it's Shiro something, but again, I don't remember the name. I found the original potato at a grocery store and just sprouted slips from them. So I'm pretty happy with this. They're nice size. They're actually nicer size than last year, and this is only about 15 feet worth of production. You can see I've stabbed quite a few of them, which is unfortunate. We'll just eat those first. Oh, here's one. You can see the orange a lot better that I stabbed. But yeah, overall, pretty pleased. And now we're gonna move on to dahlias. You can tell perhaps that I've been putting that off, but no more hemming and hawing. I'm just gonna get it done. So it took me about 2 hours, and I didn't do a very good job, or a very neat job, maybe. I got the ones I wanted to save, I'm pretty sure. And I used up all the boxes I brought out, and now I have to figure out how I'm going to store them for at least overnight until I get around to start dividing them, hopefully. My plan is to divide them this winter and store them, and then rather than having scary tubs full of massive tuber clumps, next spring I will have nice little bags of tubers that I can count out, plant, and then give away the rest to my friends. But that's about it for today. It's gone gray and foggy, which I love, and somehow this marigold over here that volunteered is still alive, so it must be protected. That Nicotiana in there too, still making it. And then back behind there, you can kind of see the calendula. I've been picking a lot of that for cut flowers. Get a little closer. Crash, crash, crash through the corn. And this was the stuff I planted in the spring and then cut back really hard because it started looking really scraggly. But there are some like cut flower type mix in here that have been really lovely to have in flowers arrangements. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave us. Let's find one really excellent one here. Maybe this one. Yeah, these are really neat. So thanks for watching. I'm just trundling along here and getting stuff done bit by bit.